realized it's me that's now abused. Well, I know you must protect
I think one of the amazing things about your songs is with Dennis's lyrics, which are often quite heavy, quite morose. There is a dark side to quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And just how joyous. And
that was,
the tracks come across.
That was kind of a fun contradiction, a paradox in there that was always fun to do. And a lot of that is because of Steve Turner. He was normally the one that would, and Dennis at the time had a manila folder full of stuff, and he was just churning it out, and he demoed some of them, but they were usually just one chord rants or something like that. So Steve was the one that really started taking them, and he always put a little pep into them somehow, a little bit of a click in them somehow, and you really have to listen to the words, otherwise you think the world's all cheery and great. But if you do listen to it, they're all they're all got a question in them. Like as you say, Dennis may have been morose, but he found a way to be very colorful with his vibe,
Don't know why the rain won't fall where rain is needed most. While the moon controls the tide that stretch from coast to coast. I don't know why the earth is round or why the sky is blue. Maybe I'm not supposed to know, but I know that I love you.
You were talking about the darker side. It's very much that, a very light feel, a very uplifting song. You listen to the words, that's kind of Dennis saying, it is his que sera, sera.
Yeah.
It is what it is. He's not being judgmental. He's just saying, aren't these things strange, that are all about us all the time. And like I say, those are Johnson Turner songs. Steve Turner was definitely one of the ones who was the one to make sense of what Dennis was writing. Dennis absolutely adored it every time he heard one of his finished songs, whether we had demoed it or whether he was over the moon. And when we really started doing it, like the isometric boogie stuff and stuff like that, Dennis was very much he really started writing. He really started tearing it up when he actually knew that someone was doing it. And there's a possibility that I don't necessarily feel comfortable with this, but there was a possibility that I was his muse. This sort of this roughneck New Orleans kid, that was just stomping around London, just croaking over some blues songs that looking back and knowing what he was talking about, I really think he was talking about me. And I'm kind of glad I didn't realize it at the time. I might have been uncomfortable about it,
Was there a forbidden love going on?
Well, someone was going to go there, unfortunately. Yes, it still is quite forbidden, I'm sure. But, we certainly adored each other, put it that way. I certainly adored him, and I think he gave me a lot of... He showed me through a lot of times of how to make it around, a new town, in a new country, in a new town.
Jesus laid in this room and he slept upon his bed. He ate his food from that stone plate and he said the things he said. Jesus lived in my hometown and they said he was divine. But Jesus scorned that kind of stuff. It was the last thing on his mind. So stand up, little Jesus. Stand up, little Jesus. Stand
Stand up, little Jesus, and take a bow. Stand up, little Jesus, and take a bow. Stand up, little Jesus, come on and stand up, little Jesus. Stand up, little Jesus, and take a bow. Stand up, little Jesus, stand up and take a bow. Your place is in the Hall of Fame, beside the Holy Cow. Stand up, little Jesus, stand up and come on down. I'll trade my Davy Crockett's hat for your stained and bloody crown. Stand up, little Jesus, stand up and say goodbye. You're your father's favorite, the apple of his eye.
Which kind of leads me nicely onto the next question. Why London? You know, you were from New Orleans. You must have.
That was just coincidence. My wife, we weren't married at the time, but the girl who I was with got a job over here, and we had, planned to. She was sort of scouting things out, and I was going to come, and one of the times she called me over there. She goes, well, I've been down this place, Covent Garden, and I've seen people with strange instruments, flailing about in the street. And she knew that I had done a bit of that in New Orleans and played washboard. So she suggested that I bring my washboard with me.
So you actually brought your washboard
I actually brought my washboard. That was the only useful thing I ended up bringing. And like almost the second day I was here, I went down to Covent Garden and I met, Dennis was playing with Gordon Rhymes in a two-piece skiffle band called Slap and Tickle. And I convinced them to let me sit in the next day. And he said, yeah, we'll come and bring it down. We'll see how it goes, And so we did. And, really what it was about is getting a crowd, gathering people. And between the tea chest and the washboard, immediately, people just drew in. And, we knew that we had something going there. And he actually paid me the first set I ever played, which I think is unusual for Dennis, So I got paid the first time, and I was hooked. I was hooked on skiffle. I was hooked on whatever, on busking in a way that I never had done before.
Okay, Tony, I'm just going to pause for a second, if you're okay.
I'm fine. I really like to talk to her and find out who she is, find out where she's coming from and who she's going with. But the closer that I get to her, the more nervous I become. When she turns to look at me, the good Lord strikes me dumb. She got me tongue-tied and terrified. My big mouth trips me up, stuttering and stammering so bad I just can't stop. Can't stop. Tongue-tied and terrified. Got my vowels mixed with my verbs. Getting close to panic. I'm almost lost for words, yeah. Tongue-tied and terrified. I just can't keep this up. And stammering so bad I just can't stop. Can't stop. Tongue-tied and petrified. Swallow hard and here I go. Called out a question, but she don't wanna know.